Welcome to the Totally Awesome Outdoors Show, or TA Outdoors for short. I've had a lot of questions recently on my Bushcraft Camp Update series about the leather tinder pouch that I use. This leather tinder pouch, I've had it for a couple of years now and I made it from hand. It's actually very simple to make, but it's a lovely item. It's got that authentic look to it, and the fact that it's made of leather and it's handmade makes you appreciate it all the much more. This is one I made earlier and it took about an hour to make, and I'm going to show you back at home how I made this. So to begin with, all I've got is a bit of leather lacing here. You can use paracord if you want to, but this is just some leather cord basically. And this is a piece of red deer antler there, which I use as a stopper. I had a bit of leather here as a stopper, but I've actually lost that part. It's come off, so I need to make another bit there, just as a stop to use as a stopper really, to pinch it closed. And here again is a piece of that red deer antler there. So all you do to open it is very simple. You pull that cord, and it's easy to open by just pulling the side parts of the pouch there. And this is basically where I keep all my tinder, such as birch bark, a few cramp balls and things like that, and any other pieces of tinder that I find out there. It's actually very simple to make, and I'll show you now with a new piece of leather where to begin. Okay, so the tools that I use are here in front of me, and this is the equipment that you generally need to make your leather tinder pouch, although you can use less. So obviously firstly I've got the leather piece here, which I will talk about in a minute. I have some leather lace or some leather cordage here, two kind of different types. I have a pair of scissors, a pen, a tape measure, red deer antler there, a piece of cow bone there. You can obviously use what you please, and some leather hole punching pliers, which are actually very useful. You can do the leather punching with an actual leather punch and a hammer, but this is just a little bit quicker and easier to use. So that's the general equipment that I use, and now I'll just talk a little bit about the leather itself. So this is a piece of leather that I got online, and it's not a huge piece of leather, but it's enough to at least get probably 2 tinder pouches at the same size that I've got, maybe a bit more if I'm doing smaller leather tinder pouches. It's genuine leather, it's calf skin, and the colour is basically, well, it's like a brown, chestnutty brown. I really like the kind of chestnut brown colour on leather. You can get offcuts of leather on eBay and things like that for really cheap. So you just got to look around. It's a case of looking around. There are really expensive pieces of leather out there, but as a tinder pouch you really don't need something that's very expensive. The first thing you need to decide is how big you want your leather tinder pouch. Now if you guys are trying to make one that's a similar size to mine, which is this one here, this is 15 inches in diameter. If I stretch that out when it's flat, it's 15 inches in diameter. Now that's a fair bit of leather, that one. If I put 15 inches here, you can see that that's probably going to use most of that chunk there. Now I actually want to make the next leather tinder pouch slightly smaller, because that first one is as big as I'd like. So I'm going to take 2 inches off that and make it 13 inches in diameter. Now rather than cut the diameter of your leather right out of the middle, because generally the offcuts of leather that you do get are not perfectly round or perfectly square, they're just offcuts, you need to use the space wisely. So try, if you can, and head over to the side and just check how much of 13 diameters, which is here, I can get. So rather than go and use all that in the middle, I've then wasted all this space around here which I could have used. You want to maximise the resources that you have. So if I lock my tape measure on 13 inches, I can check that, yeah, it's going to fit there, and if 6.5 roughly is there, that's my middle point, then yeah, I'm going to get pretty much a good chunk out of that and still have something left, maybe another 13 inches over here. So next thing I need to do is mark it out. So to maximise my piece of leather, I'm going to go to pretty much the narrowest point there to see if it can fit. And actually at 13 inches that can just about fit. Now I know that this part over here is longer than this part, so I should be safe. So going right to the edge, again to maximise what I can use, I'm going to mark at 6.5 inches, which is obviously half of 13. I'm going to mark at the top up here, just a little circle. It's quite hard for you guys to see, but I can see it. And then pull that out a bit, just at 13 inches, little dot there. That's one side of my circle done. But all I'm going to do is from the middle at 6.5, just keep going round. So I'll always keep the middle on 6.5, and every couple of inches, I'm just going to draw a dot from that middle circle. Okay, so I can just place 6.5, do a little dot up here, and I know that eventually it's going to start to curve around. Because I'm not great at maths, guys, I'm not going to draw a perfect circle with some sort of protractor and compass. Let's just do it old school and just mark around every few inches at 6.5 inches. Now you can join the dots together in a slight curve, and it does help to, but if you don't want to and you feel you're confident with scissors, then that's absolutely fine. Go ahead and crack on with the scissors and just use the dots as a guesstimate really. And once you've got that rough circle, you're then ready to cut with scissors. Bear in mind that I've done this on the inside of my Tinder powder. I want that leather material on the outside for its waterproofability and things like that. So I haven't marked the outside, I've just marked the inside. Okay, so here is the outline of my leather Tinder pouch. It's not a perfect circle, there's some jaggedy edges, but that doesn't matter. So again, with my pen and my tape measure, you can use a ruler. All I'm going to do is from the edge of the leather there, at 1 inch down, I'm just going to go put a dot there. Then I'm going to go, now look, this is all ballpoint figures here. If I go 1 inch across there and then roughly do a dot, there's no point going 1 inch exactly, 1 inch there. Obviously, if you want a perfect circle, perfect dot, you can do that, but you can always check it afterwards. But to me, you could do it as a guesstimate and just go round in a curve, and you'll roughly get where 1 inch is from the distance. Well, you'll know where 1 inch is. Once you've done 1 inch there, you can roughly go round and just do it by hand. It takes a lot less time, but obviously it's not as specific. Now the great thing about these hole punch pliers is that they have the different millimetre settings of the holes that they punch, nice and clear on this orange panel here. You can get these really cheap, they can go to £5, things like that. You can get them quite cheap, and you can find them online. I just found this online, and they're widely available. And it's got different ways that you can use it. You can rotate so that this is where the area is going to punch down here, and you can just rotate like this to choose the setting that you want. Now the great thing about these is that I can use, with my cordage here, I can test if it fits in any of these. So it doesn't fit in the 3.5mm, doesn't fit in the 4mm, but in the 4.5mm, which is the large setting, that leather cordage there can fit. So I know that if I punch a hole that is 4.5mm, the cordage is going to easily slide through the actual leather Tinder pouch here once it's made. So just a little tip, they are a very, very useful tool. You can use them for all sorts, and they're much, much easier and simpler to use than your traditional kind of leather punches. So I'm now going to use this and go around the edge where I've made the holes, go around the edge, line it all up, and then, I don't know if you can see this, but I'm going to line that, for example, that hole up. You've got to line it up with the tip of your punching pliers, get it lined up, and then squeeze, and you barely have to squeeze. If I pull that away, get rid of the excess, and there you go, you can see through the white there. A perfect round hole with very limited physical exertion needed. Now I'm going to do the rest. Shush! My dog barking. Hopefully you guys can see that. There's all the holes I've punched in there, 1 inch down, 1 inch across. Very, very easy. That took me less than a minute to do. So once you've threaded your leather cord through, you need to obviously make sure you've got length up here to hold it. You can flip it over. This is my inside bit. What I like to do, just to help give the Tinder pouch some shape, is just put a little couple of bits in there. And it just helps that when you put it together, you then know roughly what you're going to put in there, and that's what it looks like, tight and done up. And I'll just loosen it a little bit, just because I would put more in there normally. And then at the ends, if they don't match up, cut them level so that they do match up. And what you can do is, what I've done here is I've actually just from the offcut of a piece of this leather, the same leather, I've just punched a hole, I've cut a square out, and I've punched a hole with the punching pliers, and that basically acts as a buffer just to help pinch it all and cinch it all tight when you do pull it tight. And this goes on before you put on the red deer antler. So I just feel this through, and it's a little bit difficult, tricky at first, but once it's on, this is not going to come off. I'm not going to take this off. And there you go, that just slides down nice and easy now. Right to the end, pull that tight, put it right to the end. And there we go. That's then there, it blends in quite nicely. This is just a piece of red deer antler here, and I've drilled probably about a 5mm or 4mm hole in it, just at the end there. It's quite tricky to drill through deer antler, or just antler in general. You need to use a vise, you have to be very careful. And all I'm going to do, this is for aesthetics, looks and practicality as well, because it helps cinch the bag closed and keep it closed. Just going to feed it on there, slide it down up towards the buffer bead like that. And then I've got a bit of cowbone here. You can use carved sticks, just general sticks with a hole drilled in them. You can use all sorts of beads and anything like that. And I'm going to tie 2 overhand knots. And I'll show you why in a minute. First one I'm going to tie is going to be down here. Just using both ends of the cord, just an overhand knot. I'm not going to put it too tight just yet. I don't want to put it too tight, because I need room up here to be able to tie this knot here. Then I'm going to slide on my cowbone, like so. And then this knot's always quite difficult, you need to leave some room. And I'll tie an overhand knot up here. So my cowbone's tied on. Again, you can put anything you like on the end here. You can decorate it with beads and things like that. I could snip off that tag in there, but I'm just going to leave that in case I need to take it off and put something else on. So that's more for aesthetics looks, but it also, as you wrap it round, you can use the cord to wrap it around and keep it closed like that. But this also just helps if you wanted to hang it up and carry it. It's nice and visible. So to open it, again, you just grab the red deer antler, just grab the red deer antler and the leather buffer, pull them back all the way to the end so they stop against the cowbone or whatever you've got there. And to open the bags can be quite tricky, but you just pull wherever it's bunched up and scrunched up, you just pull. And realistically, I won't need to open it really any more than that, but if you do, as you can see there, it's pretty much maxed out against there, and it's open nicely. I can get all my bits in and out quite easily, any bits of tinder, anything that you forage or collect, and you can see it's already got that shape already. And then to push it closed, just grab the red deer antler like that, pull it, and then that all slides closed. And there we go. That's how to make a leather tinder pouch.